Well, it's Halloween. Count Dracula would like to drink your blood. But first, I'd like to tell you about my weekend. We had a pretty good weekend. We had a good show, a gospel show last night. I did a couple of honeydew projects over the weekend, had some visitors, fixed a few instruments, just on and on. We'll tell you all about that right after this. Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. You have to forgive that little opening there, but you know what? It's just a fun time as a child. That's all that was with me. It was not a pagan ritual or some, pagan worship thing. I never, ever, not even one time even thought of it that much like that. God knows what your intent is, and my intent was always fun and getting candy. That's really all it really was as a child. It was one of my favorite holidays because I loved candy. You got to remember, I only eat the three main food groups: sugar, salt, and preservatives. That's all I eat. I don't eat anything else. All right, enough about that. Before I forget it, though, I want to tell you, I'm going to take a short vacation from vlogs and pretty much anything for about a week in November. So let me tell you what those dates are. Yes, I'm going to take that vacation November 12th through November 22nd. That is rifle deer season here in Missouri. That doesn't mean I get all that terribly serious about shooting a deer. That's not the whole point. The whole point for me is to sit out in the woods and thoroughly enjoy it. Even if I got my deer on day one, I'll sit out the rest of the season. I seriously just love sitting out there and watching what's going on. So I'm just begging away from the video thing for that period of time. It's just 11 days there. And during that time, my grandsons are coming from Ohio on, I think, that Friday before through Sunday. So they'll be here, and I want to spend time with them also. Plan on that. I just wanted to forewarn you. Well, I mentioned I had some visitors and fixed a couple of instruments over the weekend. Actually, one visitor I think was there Thursday, and I think I told them I was going to put them in the shop talk on Friday. Well, I don't know what happened, but I don't think I did. Now, if I did, this will just be a repeat. I can't remember. So I've got two video clips here. I'll just play them back to back, and you can see what went on in the shop. One of them was Thursday. The other one was Saturday morning. Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. We have visitors, Carol and Randy Denny.
Yeah.
Is that correct? And where are y'all from?
Oak Grove, Missouri.
Oak Grove, Missouri. There's an Oak Grove, Arkansas also.
East of Kansas City on I-70.
Okay, cool. Well, they brought me another little gift here. Not a gift in the wrong sense. A gift to fix. They got a nice crack right here. I believe that this is one of those deals where the chemicals have reacted to the pick guard, and it's caused it to shrink, and it is a pretty good crack right here, and it does go all the way through. I've checked on the inside. I don't see any loose braces or anything. So I think what I'm going to try to do is just, squeeze some tight bond down in there as best as I can, and then put a little clamp on this and give it an hour or so, and it should be okay. I can't really think of anything else we could really do. We might put a cleat or so on the inside also, just to kind of help it for future. But that's about the gist of it. There won't be much to show you afterwards because it's going to look just about the same. My friends, we've got visitors in the shop. John Tygo you're in Illinois, right?
Carlinville, yeah.
Carlinville, Illinois? And he brought a beautiful guitar. This is a D41, and all we really needed to do was adjust the action, so I took about 20 thousandths off the bass side. I cut each one of the slots just a little bit deeper on the strings up there. We got the action really down very low. It's a beautiful sounding guitar. Well, John, I hope you're happy with it.
I am.
Good.
Very pleased.
I'm glad we could fix it while you wait. Yeah, it's busier here than you might expect. It's kind of hard to explain. Being in the middle of nowhere, you'd think, well, you'll never have anybody just drive in, but we do. Quite often, in fact. I did a couple of honeydew projects over the weekend. One of them was in my man cave. Now, believe it or not, this is just a small room. It's, I'm going to just say roughly 15 by 18, something like that. Believe it or not, that room has 5 doors on it. And the last door that I was putting in was actually a double door, a glass double door. And the problem with that one was that it's in the most log cabin-y part of the room. And the door frame was so out of square that I just put off doing it because it was just going to be a nightmare trying to hang 2 doors to hang equal and make them look good and all that. And I don't know, I was just procrastinating. So it's taken me a year to hang these doors. Here's a quick picture just to show you what I did. And I mentioned I did another honeydew project. I also hung a light as a replacement in our utility room. I didn't photograph that, but the old light was a fluorescent light from when Hector was a pup. Hector had grown up and the light had become useless. So I had put off replacing that light also, but I got a new LED replacement that covered all the scar on the ceiling and put that up there, and it looks real nice and works real well. My grandson Isaac finally accomplished his goal. It was youth deer season this past weekend, and he finally got his big buck. Here's a picture of that. You can see how wide the antler was on that. That was a pretty big old buck. They get pretty big around here, even though this is southern Missouri. Now, they're much, much bigger up north and in Iowa and places like that, where they're corn-fed. But down here, they're eating acorns. And as you know, I've been doing some amateur archaeology here on the farm, and of course just some plain old fun metal detecting, looking for old coins primarily. My question and the title of this video is, what would you do? Well, my YouTube friends, you see this date in this piece of concrete? That looks like RLG, I think, and it might be a BLG. I can't really tell for sure on that first letter. It might even be a P, possibly. But that G is, I believe that's Groover. This is called Groover Hollow. And I assume this was Groover's house. This old house. This is the old house on the farm. It was built, I think, in the late 1800s. I think this concrete was poured much later. I got to show you this. Hear that? Look at the tone. And it's consistent no matter where I'm at. That usually indicates a silver coin, and the silver coin would have to be older than that. I've tested this with my pinpointer, I've tested it in all metal mode, and I get the same result every single time. So my question to you folks is, what would you do? Would you lift that piece up? Since it's broke right there anyway, I don't have to disturb the big piece. I could just lift up this one piece, get under there, and see what that is. The sad thing is that it still could be a false signal. I just don't know. Let me know what you would do in the comments. All right, so I want to hear from you in the comments. What would you do? Would you dig it up, or would you just ignore it because of the hassle of the concrete and all that? The easy way for me to dig it up would be to take the fork of my bobcat and just lift the concrete up and dig underneath it. But the problem is, because it's broken across there, that could be catching, and if I lift one side, it could lift the other, it could chip out and make a bigger crack there. I mean, there's a lot of problems with lifting it. My wife suggests that I dig under it and see what's there. But that's a lot of work. It's harder around than you think to dig in because of all the gravel and everything. It's tough to dig in. What would you do? Would you ignore it, or would you go after it? Here's the realistic percentages, at least to the best of my knowledge. You know, in ordinary locations, if you got that signal and it's that consistent, that's the important thing. And when you go in all directions, it's consistently a silver coin signal. Well, I would say then your odds are probably 80-20. 80% that it'll be a coin and 20% it'll be trash. Now, in some places, those odds are going to drastically change, like here. In my backyard, for instance, when I get those high dollar coins or those silver coin signals, quite often it can be trash, and it can actually be those little pull tabs and things like that off of soda cans, or it can be bullet casings and things like that. So, you get tricked. So I would say the odds here on this farm are about 50-50. Really close to 50-50. Half the time it'll be a silver coin, the other half the time it's not. So you got to keep that in mind. Now, the odds change a little bit under that concrete block because it's dated 1909. Now, there were no aluminum pull tabs back in 1909, I don't think, anyway. Now, there were bullets and bullet casings, so it could be something like that. The other thing that can make a noise like that is a large piece of steel, and if you're at the right distance from it and you go over it, it'll go ping, 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 just like a coin, even though it's nothing to do with a coin whatsoever. The difference on those is if you start digging down, if it says the coin is 3 inches deep and you dig down to the 3-inch level and you haven't found the coin, odds are you're digging big, heavy steel. So I don't have a way of knowing the depth of it because it's under concrete. So what would you do? Let me just throw out another little twist to the story, okay? And this is just being, super, super wishful thinking, okay? It's got nothing to do with nothing, and I am definitely not getting my hopes up because I'm pretty much a realist, as you know. But it's still fun to think about things like this. The fact that it was poured in 1909. One of the most valuable coins, at least in terms of U.S. currency, is a 1909S VDB. VDB is the initials of the coin designer or something like that. Anyway, the S denotes that it was made in San Francisco, and the VDB was there temporarily under the wheat, on the back of the coin. Down in the bottom of that it said VDB. So if you find a 1909 S VDB, it's worth a lot of money. Now, I think back when I was a kid, they were worth more. I seem to remember they were worth several $100,000 at one time. But right now, I think recently one sold for over $100,000. Even if it's only a few thousand, if it's a penny, that's pretty good money. So, and being 1909 and 1909, perhaps they laid a brand new penny under there before they poured it, as like a celebration or to just mark the occasion. You never know. Concrete would have been pretty hard to come by back then, especially out here in the middle of nowhere. Just think how hard it would have been to get that concrete there. They didn't have any concrete trucks, I don't think. I'm pretty positive they had to pour that by hand. And you notice the little odd shape of it. It's not brought out in square or anything. So obviously they were making do, you know what I mean? And they just wanted a small step there. But the point is that any coin that's under there, if it's a coin, would have to be 1909 or older. So that's kind of cool. From that perspective, it is kind of cool. If the weather holds out today, I'll tell you what I did tomorrow. That ought to give you a clue. I had one more thing to talk about today that I didn't mention in the opening or in the title, and that is this thing. And some of you will instantly recognize it, I'm sure. But it is a vibration tool for therapy. And you turn it on, and then you press this button, and it starts to vibrate. You can probably see the vibration there. And it goes faster and faster, up to 9. So what am I using this for? That. Oh my gosh. My buddy Gary, the guitar player in the band, he loaned me his. He said, you ought to try it on your hands. Well, I've already tried 100 things or more, probably closer to 200 things on my hands at this point, and not a single thing has helped. Not one thing. Nothing. Not a single thing. Well, this kind of helps. I mean, I'm really kind of surprised. I've had it for a couple of weeks. I bought my own. I've had it for about 10 days now, probably. And I use it quite often. Whenever the hands get to really hurting, and they really hurt over the weekend, and I was dreading playing that show on Sunday evening, but I use this on my hands for probably over an hour, just going back and forth and around, and it seemed to relax the pain. And by yesterday evening, when we played that show, the pain was relaxed enough that I could play, and I felt like I was doing okay. I didn't play great. I never play great, but I played okay, and I played up to at least enough to suit me. Versus with all that pain and stiffness, it was really hard to play here over the last few weeks. And I didn't really tell you about our show last night, and it did turn out real well. We had a pretty darn good attendance there at the Macedonia Baptist Church. A number of people, commented on the show and thought it was really fun and really nice. So I hope that when you're in the area sometime, you can come to either one of our shows or come to our jam at Dickey's Barbecue Pit there in Rolla on Kings Highway every Tuesday evening from 6 to 8:30. So we hope you'll join us there. That's going to be it for today. We'll see you tomorrow.